Hello everybody, this is Roz, and I am going to be doing a summary on the book by Daniel H. Pink called Drive, The Truth About What Motivates Us. All right, so I will be going from my computer and talking to you at the same time, and I want to thank my daughter for taping this for me for this assignment. Okay, here we go. Now, in motivation, in the beginning, Daniel Pink says that man's prime motivation was simply survival, just getting what we needed, just being able to go out there and catch that food. And then, after survival, motivation moved around rewards and punishments. And I'm going to show you an example of a reward and how animals will do good things to get a reward. So I'm going to move over here and going to get my dog Louie to be my handy dandy example here. Louie, come here, hon. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Louie to sit. So come over here, Louie. Come on. Sit. Shake. Good boy. And Louie gets a treat for the sitting and shaking. So moving on from rewards, we're going to move on from there, and we're going to talk about how Pink brought some different psychologists' ideas about what motivated us. And he started with Maslow, Abraham Maslow, known for the hierarchy of needs. He said that people sought positive stimuli. And then he moved on to Dr. McGregor, who used Maslow's ideas in the workplace, in the business place. And then he used F. Hertzberg's extrinsic rewards, such as pay, working conditions, and job security. Next, W.E. Demick, intrinsic rewards, such as bonuses, incentive plans, and job rankings. An example of external rewards, or excuse me, what I should say is there are some problems with external rewards. Eventually they lose their power, they are short-term, and they eventually reduce motivation for the long term. Going on with flaws in external motivation, they can extinguish intrinsic motivation, they can diminish performance, they can crush creativity, they can crowd out good behavior, and they can encourage cheating, shortcuts, and unethical behavior. They can become addictive, and they can foster short-term thinking. Then there's intrinsic motivation, which extends capacity and causes us to want to explore and learn. And we can see in the example here that people want to be able to create and use color and expand their thinking. And I use the example of runners. Runners want to get very good at what they do and broaden their capacity to run further distances so they can qualify for that ultimate Boston Marathon. And in studying human behavior, Pink talks about algorithmic tasks, which is following a set of established instructions down a single pathway to one conclusion. And I use the example of an assembly line where in many businesses where people are just basically working on an assembly line and repeating the same task over and over, not much creativity involved. Then there's heuristic tasks where where you get the opportunity to experiment, create, and you get the reward of self-accomplishment. Then there's the principle of autonomy, and a need that stands out among three innate psychological human needs is autonomy. And Pink says that people have the drive to be autonomous and self-determined. And there are many people in this world that, even though they have disabilities, they still want to move on and be as successful as they can be. Then I brought up the fact, or actually Pink brought up the fact that there were some famous autonomists that came around from time to time. And in the world of artistry, there was Pablo Picasso, and this is a self-portrait of him. And then another famous artist Georgia O'Keeffe, who was famous for drawing beautiful flowers in her own style. Okay, then there's another part of motivation, which Pink called Motivation 3.0. It's where people want to create. This beyond extrinsic and intrinsic rewards, they want to be create. In their autonomy, they want to have control over their creation, and they want to make the world a better place. And I thought, who better to tell us about making the world a better place than Diana Ross? Eventually we come to a place where we're moving beyond our own ideas, moving beyond what we think we can do for ourselves, where we want to extend our creation out to helping mankind. So thank you for that part there, and just an idea of reaching out, touching somebody's hand, and making the world a better place. All right. Now, when people are engaged, when people are motivated and they're able to be autonomous, they want to be engaged. Or as described in the book, The Fifth Discipline by Senge, enrolled. So when people are engaged, engagement produces mastery. And mastery, as Pink defines it, is becoming better at something that matters. And it requires effort, grit, pain, and deliberate practice. And I thought of a great example as ballet dancers. They become masters at dancing. But in order to become masters, they have to go through that effort, grit, pain, and deliberate practice. And their feet eventually get really messed up. But let's look at what happens with these feet in mastery in motion. Think of all the time, effort, pain, and grit that this dancer needed to be able to be balanced, beautiful, straight. Look at those feet. Mastery in motion. Okay, I'm going to move on now. All right. So as leaders, how are we going to manage people in mastery? Well, Pink says people need to have autonomy over the task, what they do, the time, when to do it, the team, who they're going to do it with, and the technique and how they do it. And I can also think of the example in the EDD program that we're all in right now, that we've had the opportunity to become masters in research, and we're given tasks throughout the different classes that we're in. We're given a time frame and when we need to do the tasks. We're given a team to work on the tasks, and we're given a technique. And what we really appreciate is to be able to have autonomy over the technique in which we produce results in the research tasks that we've been given. Now, after mastery comes purpose. We become masters of what we do, and like the dancer, she's really good at what she does, but her purpose is to be able to provide entertainment and enjoyment for others. Now, for us, or for Daniel Pink, described purpose as taking place alongside profit maximization as inspiration and a guiding principle. And purpose expresses an interest in goals that use profit to reach purpose. It emphasizes more than self-interest, and there are policies that allow people to pursue their own terms, on their own terms. And then purpose, people who are motivated for a particular purpose exhibit these effective characteristics. They seek constant and critical feedback. They want to know they're doing a good job. They want to focus on where they need help. And for us as leaders, we want to make sure that they're getting compensated right and then getting it out of sight. They're no longer thinking about the compensation. That's already there. They want to get it out of sight and move on so that they can have that motivation, mastery, and purpose. And then I used an example here of a visual example of teachers who have purpose in teaching students with disabilities, and not just there for themselves, but there to help those students become much better people, making the world a better place. Now, Daniel describes the Zen of compensation. Ensure internal and external fairness. So when we're paying people, we want to make sure that they have fair pay. And if we really want to get good results, we need to pay more than average. Now, here's a life application for purpose for people in the education business, whether it be the principal, assistant principal, or even a teacher in the classroom. Think about this. Am I offering students any autonomy over how and when to do this work? When we get out an assignment, are we just micromanaging everything they do, or allowing them to have their own autonomy? Now, does this assignment promote mastery by offering a novel, engaging task as opposed to rote reformation of something already covered in class? And we can go back to that visual example of people working in a factory. And then we need to think and ask ourselves, does my students understand the purpose of this assignment? Why am I doing this algebra problem? What good is it going to do me? Why do I have to write this essay? We need to let them know what the purpose of that assignment is. And to wrap things up, humans by nature seek purpose. We as leaders must utilize these ideas in order to be efficient, successful, and in participation, the advancement of humankind. So once again, a summary of the book by Daniel Pink, Drive. Thank you very much.